welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. It's great to have you here. Welcome to our Masterclass, Fortify Your Digital Fortress. Today we are joined by Andrew Choquette, NetScaler Product Specialist, Richard Faulkner, Solutions Architect from Ferroque, and myself. Hi everybody, my name is Amber and I look after the marketing here at Ferroque. Andrew, a solutions engineer, has been part of the NetScaler team since 2012, specializing in serving major clients in the finance and energy sectors. He is a veteran of the U.S. Navy, where he supported telecommunications for submarine broadcasts. Outside of his professional commitments, Andrew enjoys fishing and embarking on wilderness canoe trips. Richard has been a fervent supporter of end-user computing for over 2 decades, primarily working on the reseller side, which enabled him to adopt new technologies early. Currently a solutions architect at Ferroque Systems based in Chattanooga, Tennessee, he thrives on sharing his knowledge about technology and assisting IT staff in optimizing digital workspaces for employees. Originally from New York City, Rich has lived across the U.S. and served as a nuclear engineer in the U.S. Navy on submarines before transitioning to an IT career. Welcome, gentlemen. It's great to have you guys here.
Good afternoon, everyone.
NetScaler is the only application delivery and security platform that uses a one-pass architecture for traffic processing. This capability enables NetScaler to perform many functions simultaneously, including security inspections, to reduce latency and improve performance. NetScalers literally power the internet, with approximately 75% of internet traffic being handled by NetScaler at some point in their flow. From the world's largest e-commerce sites to the world's largest smartphone networks, NetScaler is there, and in nearly all of the Fortune 500 enterprises, making it the most battle-tested application delivery controller and load balancing platform on the market. In this webinar, we'll briefly outline why NetScaler and the power of one model. We'll review the core security features that our webinar in February was focused on, namely bot management, web app firewall or WAF, and API protection. And we'll share a new feature with web app firewall. From there, we'll discuss in more detail the remaining 4 security features, including secure access, visibility analytics, TLS offload and management, and microservices app security. Andrew will run a demo on security protections gateway and IP reputation on gateway, and we'll close with a roundtable discussion. So if you have any questions along the way, please make sure you add them to the chat and we'll be sure to get to them at the end. So for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm going to hand things over to Richard and Andrew.
So let's begin by understanding the paramount importance of security. In the recently released Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report for 2024, APIs once again emerged as significant threat vectors. The report is a treasure trove of valuable insights, and I highly recommend acquiring it for a comprehensive understanding. I'd like to highlight the key points from this report today. First, in the initial graph, we observe the time frame between the disclosure of a known exploited vulnerability and the subsequent remediation of those vulnerable devices. Then, in the second graph, illustrates the duration between the disclosure of a known exploited vulnerability and the first detection of a scan by a threat actor. Notably, the data reveals a startling trend. Within the merely 5 days of a vulnerability becoming known, it's already being scanned for exploitation. But even a month later after disclosure, a staggering 85% of vulnerable assets remain unremediated. It takes an average of 55 days to get to half of the vulnerabilities to be addressed. And 6 months down the line, 20% of them are still unresolved. Even after a year, 8% of the vulnerabilities remain exploitable. These statistics underscore the urgent need for robust controls that can effectively thwart scans and vulnerabilities until they're remediated. NetScaler delivers the unparalleled power of one. With its innovative one-pass architecture, NetScaler ensures that each packet is processed just once as it traverses the network, allowing all operations to be seamlessly executed in line. The unique approach grants NetScaler a competitive edge enabling lightning-fast actions and significantly lower latency compared to rivals, which often subject packets to unnecessary bouncing around between various actions and even sometimes through disparate appliances. Furthermore, the NetScaler's one codebase across all platforms slashes the complexity and minimizes the knowledge required to navigate between form factors. Whether it's virtual, physical, or in the public cloud, it's the same robust code, commands, and configuration every time. At the helm of it all is the NetScaler console, serving as one management plane that effortlessly binds all devices together. In stark contrast, competitors may offer up to 7 different software and licensing configurations, each accompanied by its own plethora of management consoles. And when it comes to cloud-native appliances, NetScaler stands alone with the singular management plane, seamlessly overseeing both microservices and hardware. In comparison, rivals like HA Proxy or Nginx Ingress necessitate a separate management plane for every microservice, potentially resulting in an unwieldy maze of thousands of management planes. In today's cloud-native application landscape, we find ourselves immersed in what can only be described as an application and API economy, where safeguarding these assets is paramount for any business's future trajectory. Applications play a pivotal role in the core of virtually every business operation. They serve as the driving force behind productivity and expansion, functioning as the primary interface through which businesses interact with their clientele. Consequently, the quality of the application experience often directly correlates with the customer experience, making it a pivotal aspect of brand representation. Meanwhile, APIs emerge as indispensable facilitators, streamlining communication channels between diverse applications and services. Across various sectors, organizations are increasingly leveraging APIs to catalyze transformative shifts in their operational paradigms. By embracing APIs, businesses gain the agility necessary to adapt to evolving market dynamics swiftly, fostering a culture of innovation that propels them ahead at unprecedented speeds. Undoubtedly, applications and APIs are among the most treasured assets within any business ecosystem. As a lifeblood driving core operations, safeguarding them from relentless onslaught of emerging threats becomes imperative. Yet the landscape of cybersecurity is evolving rapidly, with threats growing increasingly sophisticated. Moreover, as applications migrate towards multi-cloud deployments, the resultant complexity and fragmentation exacerbate an already intricate security challenge, necessitating vigilant adaptation to ensure robust protection across all fronts. In our previous webinar covering NetScaler security solutions, we discussed the web application firewall, API protection, and bot management. We'll not be covering these portions here today, but we will share a link to our other webinar so that you can watch that one as well. In the previous webinar, we covered applications and API security in depth. We went over bot management, discussing quite a few items and features that are available on the NetScaler appliance. We also addressed the web application firewall and how it helps keep your application safe. Today, we're going to delve into the remaining 4 tools in our toolbox. Secure access plays a pivotal role in granting access not just to your desktops and applications, but also your data, internal websites, and emerging web-based applications. Andrew will be taking us through visibility analytics and TLS offloading, while I'll be focusing on the microservices app security. Additionally, we're excited to announce a new feature for the web app firewall that has been released since our last webinar. It is a significant enhancement, and we're eager to share its benefits. So Andrew, why don't you tell us about it?
Thank you, Richard. So today I'm going to cover a new feature, and this has been released across NetScaler builds, latest 14.1, 2157, and it's even backported to 13.1, just due to the criticality of what Citrix and our NetScaler team thought was beneficial, it will be a part of 13.1 as well. And these are all live today. You can go in and enable this feature. So this has been added into our platform to be able to say, how do we add added protections? How do we reduce CVEs? How do we add those protections to the NetScaler appliance? And this would be in reference to NetScaler Gateway and authentication AAA VIPs. So in an effort to reduce CVEs and a hardening of the NetScalers, you can now leverage API protections on the NetScaler. And this is available within any of the editions today. So if you're on standard, advanced, or premium, you can enable this. So, and I'll be demoing this at later in the presentation. It's really a great value add to the appliance to be able to say we can add these API protections that changes more how the full traffic flow goes to the appliance and how we're really reducing, trolling from bad actors looking for vulnerabilities and just how the actual connections come into the box. So we'll cover really how we're doing some of the API schemas and the validations to really restrict how traffic flows in. We took a more holistic approach to say how's traffic supposed to be coming through the box and block all unknown or out of behavior type connections going through the NetScaler. So once you upgrade to the latest 14.1 or 13.1, this will be available. And through the demo, I'll show how it easily can be enabled. It is off by default today, but it is something I would highly recommend enabling today once you upgrade to those latest builds. And I'll pass it off to Richard to cover more even on our layered protection with our more of our microservices today.
Yeah, so we're going to build on the original 3 layers that we covered in the last webinar, and we're going to discuss the next 4 that Andrew and I will be reaching out for you. Microservices application security presents a unique array of challenges in today's digital landscape. With the introduction of NetScaler CPX version, which you can actually, developers can actually download and use for free today with some limitations we can talk about later, the platform extends the robust security capabilities beyond traditional form factors, such as VPX, MPX, and public cloud deployments. The NetScaler Ingress Controller plays a pivotal role in automating external and non-microservices environments, while simultaneously ensuring that the ingress effectively safeguards the north-south traffic flow. Furthermore, by integrating CPX as a sidecar, NetScaler comprehensively fortifies the security posture of all of your microservices applications. This integration involves leveraging the open source control plane, empowering organizations to effectively manage the NetScalers within their microservices architecture. By deploying NetScalers both within the microservices environment and at its perimeter, organizations can ensure comprehensive protection of their APIs. Moreover, the unified management plane provided by the NetScaler enables organizations to maintain a consistent security posture across both monolithic and microservices applications. Additionally, this unified management plane streamlines troubleshooting processes by offering enhanced observability through the NetScaler console. And Andrew, I'll turn it over to you.
Absolutely. So today I'll cover more of even the added, one of the layers we look at today is really how we provide, that TLS and traffic encryption, how we actually, decrypt traffic, provide that scalability across applications. When we traditionally look at cloud native applications, on-premise applications, really, how do we get the visibility into that traffic if it's encrypted? Traditionally, when we say we're doing SSL offloading on a load balancer, that's really where NetScaler comes into play to say, we're decrypting the traffic. This is where we have the ability to scale those connections, but also get a view into that traffic to be able to do, let's say, more deep dive traffic analytics, send off to an AV, antivirus, or IDS, IDP, how we're actually getting visibility in that traffic and providing that kind of scalability within the latest Cypher suites, whether if it's, TLS 1.3, elliptic curves, or even our FIPS appliances today. Even with the new Citrix offerings, we really see, how we're offering, the choice to deploy, whether if it's FIPS or non-FIPS appliances. So really how we provide that visibility and the governance across the scalability. When we look at our hardware platforms, we have that SSL scalability, but also with our virtual appliances, we have the Intel QI and other opportunities to be able to provide more SSL offloading, whether if it's virtual or hardware, by adding in those SSL offloading cards. So it's really critical when we look at, how we're getting that traffic analytics to have that deep visibility, and being able to decrypt it really gives you, some of that lack of visibility we see across applications, but also how are we scaling it and providing, the governance across it. So as attacks increase, how we're deploying applications, the decryption part is a critical, and we really need that scalability, but also the visibility to say, hey, if I enable these latest SSL cipher suites and protocols, what's the impact or projected, outline of what happens when that traffic's, we change our SSL suites, or, the governance on that. So really the scalability is critical, but also the effect of, let's say, going to the latest SSL protocols. And that's where we're really in NetScaler console in our deep analytics can say, here's the suites you're having, here's the performance, maybe here's some even the impact of changing these, or, the scalability within the platform. And that's where it all ties in together with visibility analytics. I know that the prior session covered some of this with ADM, but it really comes down to when we look at a WAF and some of the security pillars, really how application attacks are being done, how we can actually view that within the NetScaler console, formerly NetScaler ADM, to really say, what's happening with APIs? Maybe we even just do visibility into APIs. Maybe there's unknown or rogue APIs within the infrastructure. So not securing APIs or even having rogue APIs may be a huge thing. We really need visibility into that. And then even with bot attacks, we really want to understand, what's that malicious traffic? What's the impact of that traffic coming across? And visibility comes in it critically. Then we look at some of the analytics within NetScaler console, being able to get those TLS insights, to be able to say, here's what kind of connections are coming in. What if we disable a certain cipher suite? Will it disable certain browsers, or is there a performance impact, or is it a chance to harden these appliances as well? When we look at some of the analytics and the visibility, we can also get, even within NetScaler console, the ability for it to say, you're not getting a Qualys A+ rating today. Here's a one-click migration to upgrade that VIP to the latest SSL cipher suites in security hardening. So it's certainly a lot of visibility on that within the NetScaler console. And so when we look at how this all comes together within secure access and how we're providing some of those protections, when we look at some of the secure access modules within the NetScaler today, we have our AAA authentication, and this is critical across a lot of organizations. They may have an application that's deployed that does not have an authentication method or a way to add in MFA. The ability to configure an authentication VIP on the NetScaler to be able to say, maybe we want to leverage SAML or a different kind of forms of authentication in front of that application, and then get the visibility and reporting on it is critical, and the NetScaler enables that today. And then when we look at the VPN, we can do a VPN, traditional SSL VPN, a full layer 3 type tunnel, or we can do that mixed in with always VPN to say, if a laptop or corporate device leaves the environment, we want it to be able to always tunnel back into the infrastructure for full device management. So those key features are pretty critical across, how we're providing the secure access. And with the NetScaler, you can even do SSL VPN. So really, when it comes down to, forms of access, we have a multitude of ways to provide secure access and really deploy the NetScaler out today. So when we look at, how that all ties in together, we can tie that all in together as, a traditional ICA proxy, the more of the HCX offering within Citrix today, how we access Citrix secure applications is another module within that, but it provides that layered approach to say, depending how users are, what kind of access they need, we have ability to provide that access. The latest features that have been brought into the NetScaler today is SPA on-prem, so to be able to do a secure private access. And that's more of a new offering from Citrix to provide that zero trust access, a browser-based internal web access, and that integrates in even with your storefront integrations, ability to post applications, everything, provide that zero trust solution, but leverage your NetScaler platform today for that scalability, but also that on-premise, that full analytics, full control of the infrastructure to not have to move off into, a full cloud-based solution. So it gives a mixture of both. It's part of our SPA offering today from Citrix, but it also lets you leverage your NetScaler offering today. And with that, I'm going to demo today the actual gateway protections. It's just a quick snippet of the actual video. I'll just walk through what's been added on the latest updates and how we really do the actual enabling or disabling of that feature and how we can leverage it, and just walk you through some of the components. So we can start over to the video, and we'll go through how easy this is to enable today. So when you upgrade today, you'll see these 3 profiles on here, and these are really what's going to be bound within the policy I'll show. So these all have API schema files. And I'll walk through them in a second, but these are really what's going to be you're going to see when you upgrade. And within that, we do have these signatures imported in there. So within that, we'll see this API security import, and these are the actual signatures for that. So within that, and if there's a hit on these or anything, you can drill down and see statistics on those, but that's what's included on the latest firmware update. That's what's going to do the API schema. And those are encrypted, so there's no reverse engineering of what we're trying to protect within the gateway. It's blocked out from the actual user to see what those files are. And that's really what we're doing. We're going to create a app. These are all default created with those API schema files bound to each one of these profiles. So if there's, if we're understanding how we created it, these are built with encrypted signatures. And I'll jump over here. This is where we're actually going to enable it today. So within your infrastructure today, you can go into NetScaler Gateway. It's a global setting. And within that global setting, you'll go to change AAA settings, and there'll be an option to say auth and VPN. So if it's just a AAA VPN or a gateway VPN, you get the choice to toggle it on either, or by default it will be off. And then the ability to do security insights. So in the past, security insights were not enabled, or you were not able to actually enable security insights for a gateway VIP or an authentication VIP. Now we can. So features such as gateway IP reputation, these API schema files, or any kind of other kind of WAF security features, you now can pull into NetScaler console to get reporting and statistics. So it's a nice added benefit to be able to say, I've enabled these security features. What kind of hits am I getting on it? And what kind of protections are included on that? So it's a very, very, very nice feature add. And this is just, as you see, to be able to enable it, it's just you pick if you have an auth or VPN, or if you want to enable it both, and then enable those protections. So another demo I'm going to cover today is really critical. I've seen it across a lot of organizations, and this is happening across just not Citrix gateways, but Cisco, a lot of other VPN vendors, and we've seen it across a lot of logs, and just in general, a lot of brute force login attempts from malicious actors out there. There's even my infrastructure, just to test it, I turned off my IP rep, got over a couple million hits in a month on login spam attacks just on my infrastructure. So once I turned this on, it went down to almost 0. So it's a really quick way to eliminate a lot of traffic accessing the box. And within that, we'll show the kickoff to the demo. It's a couple policies that need to be added, and it gives you the ability to provide that IP reputation on the gateway. So within your infrastructure, you'll have let's say you have a VPN configured within the infrastructure, a gateway IPCA proxy. We're going to go down and we're going to add in a simple responder policy. I have it created in this demo, but it's pretty straightforward. You can see pretty much how it's created within this demo. We'll create a responder policy where the client IP source is malicious, and then do a drop. You could have a redirect page and then bind to the VPN. And that's done. So it's a real quick, easy way to have those protections enabled. If we want to see that responder policy hits, what's happening with it, we can always go into, App Expert, see the responder policy and see the hits. But it's a quick way to be able to leverage that web root database that's on the NetScaler, and that's periodically updated as there's new updates to that IP malicious database. And that can be configured via proxy, or just straight out to the internet. We do have some docs that provide whether you need to open up certain URLs or how to configure a proxy if that's required in your infrastructure. It will need outbound access though to be able to pull those signatures. But it's a quick, easy way to add in protections and just do a huge elimination of traffic that's hitting your authentication service or the gateway bit. And with that, I'll pass it off to Richard to cover some more in summary on our presentation today.
So as you've seen in our previous webinar and in this webinar, the NetScaler ADC has a layered protection that is composed of several different modules. Each can be deployed alone, but they're all included in the NetScaler Premium license. And that's available as with instance and bandwidth licensing that allows you to purchase the capacity and instances you need, and then shift them around as required to ensure that you have traffic management and security where you want and when you want. Many Citrix customers who are taking advantage of the platform or the hybrid multi-cloud licensing have an unlimited number of NetScaler instances, coupled with either a terabit of throughput for the hybrid multi-cloud or an unlimited amount of bandwidth for the platform licensed customers. So we did change up some licensing things around here. But today we did cover the secure access to the where that capability is coming in, what analytics we can see from the NetScaler console. I discussed a little bit about the microservices app security, and we also talked about some of the offload management and so forth. So I guess we're going to move on to questions. So the first thing we see is in your demo there, you showed on the gateway section, or I'm sorry, in the AAA section, you showed where those new schema files were there. Are those available in the gateway section as well, or is it only going through that AAA server?
Yeah. If we look at the protections today, it would be for gateway or a AAA. So either way, we can enable protections. We can turn it on or off for either one. So, but probably best practice is if it most likely is enable auth and VPN. So auth would be the AAA, and then VPN would be for, let's say, gateway, or even if it's just a full layer 3 VPN.
But when you're doing that configuration, it does actually have to go up to the AAA and pull that information in to see that, because you're not going to be on from the virtual server environment itself. You're not going to be able to add in the.
No, it's a global setting. So
okay, global setting.
As of today, yeah.
Okay, all right, and with the that same, well, now since we're talking about that feature, I'm very excited about this feature. There's some pretty interesting things that are available there. The first question I have is there a particular license that's required to have that?
So it'll be on a standard, advanced, or premium. So no licensing required. We allowed it for all editions, and also backported into 13.1, as I mentioned, which traditionally it was a maintenance phase only. We felt the importance of having that dropped to 13.1 was there to be able to just reduce CVs and traffic hits of malicious traffic, whether somebody's trying to, look for a vulnerability or just unnecessary traffic hitting those VPN or authentication service. It was critical to add it.
Yeah, I know the CVEs that have come out in the last couple of years have all been in the AAA section where those are, and there wasn't any way without this feature being added in there wasn't any way to intercept that traffic ahead of time and make changes to it and get things going. So it's pretty nice that they did it, and I was also very, very happy to see the I was also very happy to see the them adding that into 13.1, even though it was in maintenance phase. It's definitely a useful and valuable situation. There's also I saw somebody had created one of the CTPs had created a blog on setting it up, all the stuff that you would go through and everything. So maybe we can link that when we show the replay of this environment here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
and just to add upon that, it's a re-architecture sort of how our gateway does. Traditionally, authentication and all that stuff was before WAF. Now we're tying WAF in front of all that. So really how the policy creation is done and the traffic flow through the appliance, it's been sort of an architecture change within the NetScaler. So it's going to do those WAF and all those checks first before allowing connections into authentication. So that's really what some of the brunt of the changes were.
Okay, and so I can remember when the webroot was first added in, we actually had to initialize the database before you could use the is malicious settings. Is that still required, or is the database come preloaded on the NetScaler now?
It comes preloaded. It does need the outbound access, so to be able to do any kind of updates to that database. So I would say,
Okay.
you know, it's certainly I wouldn't let it sit non-updated. So more of a, and we've been able to across a couple large organizations just in the last couple of weeks. That was a critical step, was getting that outbound access to be able to update the database, because it is
Okay.
updated up to every 5 minutes on the appliance to be able to pull down the latest, you know, malicious IPs or known bad actors out there.
Yeah, and honestly, with that, when you combine that with the ability to go ahead and drop traffic from particular nation states or areas that we know, you know, like you can say, if you're not doing business with Russia, I don't need to allow them to have access to my website, et cetera. That really cuts down the threat vector that you're looking at when that comes in here.
Correct, absolutely. So when you look at some of the analytics and some of the traffic in NetScaler console, you could sort of see a geo mapping. If we know we don't want any traffic outside of certain geos or regions, maybe, you know, it's beneficial to do those country blocks to say, we know nobody should be connecting from, let's say, a foreign state.
I've actually been kind of surprised if you look at some of the attacks and stuff. The U.S. and the Netherlands have their own fair share of, but you know, I don't know if that's just script kiddies playing around or how that's going on there.
The brunt of attacks I've seen in my infrastructure, there's a bunch of hijacked server 2012s out there that are maliciously just doing login spam attack, thousands of dictionary checks.
So they're just running bots and away she goes. Hence the need for bot management.
Yep.
All right. Are there any sample use case configurations for any of these features you can think of, or?
I would just say, you know, the latest, if you're upgrading the latest versions, enable these features, get them deployed. Certainly make sure, you know, you have your ADM up to date so you can enable security insight, get more of the view into the infrastructure. These are all quick, easy ways to deploy. I would say between turning on security insight, these features, it's 1 or 2 clicks to be able to get that visibility. So.
Yeah. And with the new licensing, they've added in some more capabilities on the analytics as connecting, right? So the platform, say platform license people, they get the analytics.
Yep.
It's going to show what's going on there on their features. But even if you don't have that extended license, you can still connect to the NetScaler console on a service that's out on the web and get it connected in using agents into your ADM or your NetScalers, and at least be able to keep track of when the new security updates come out. Are there information that we need to watch out for here, you know, and keep those your machines up to date on a much more regular basis,
yeah,
especially
absolutely.
when it comes to security.
Yep, so we added instance advisory and then file integrity monitoring. There's a lot of great features added within the NetScaler console service to be able to say, here's some health checks, here's some, you know, platform updates, here's your end of life of certain firmwares, or, you know, advice to upgrade. And then it ties down even on the latest NetScaler console and on-prem 14.1, unlimited VIPs now. So we no longer license analytic VIPs. So, you know, in the past it was reduced down to 2 on 14.1. Now it's unlimited. So enable it on all your VIPs. You know, you want that deep dive analytics or anything of that nature, it's unlocked now. In the cloud, there's more of a storage restriction, but certainly unlimited VIPs as well in the cloud.
Yeah, I can remember I was in a PTech meeting when they announced that they were going from 50 down to 2, and it was like, I mean, you could have. I thought a revolt was going to happen in that room. Yeah. It was like, why would you do that? But I'm so glad to see that that's coming in. I'm so glad to see the NetScaler console and the capabilities are there. So I'm hoping that, you know, more people will start deploying those, get that information out there, and finding out, because helping to protect. You did mention the file integrity checker. Can you go through a little bit about what's important about that? I know it does a lot for you know, the CVEs that came out. They made changes. It was what would happen if somebody would have to make a change to your files on the binaries and in order to do something. So can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, just an added layer of protection to say, let's say from past CVs or even, you know, even insider threat or anything of that nature. How are we going to, you know, enforce how these builds are rolled out, or how your infrastructure sits today? Really, how we look at the file infrastructure and the NetScaler platform that you have deployed. You know, maybe there's an alert or something to see, you know, is there changes been done within that firmware? And it's critical across, you know, these are decrypting all your traffic. They're managing all your applications. You have all your authentication on flow on it. To add that added layer of security is important.
Yeah, the unique capabilities of the NetScaler combined with its general location is the first device inside the firewall, right? And then it routes everything. So we get to see all of the traffic that's coming and going. And that's certainly some traffic that you would want to protect from somebody else who doesn't belong being able to view that same traffic. So
Absolutely.
And so I think that covers all our questions that we have. Andrew, can you think of anything else we might want to let people know about?
No, just keep a lookout. We're always adding more features and more security protections. This is our first rollout of the gateway and protections and the auth protections. Certainly will be more to come as the year rolls on, and I'm excited to give a release of that soon. So.
And one of the other things, if you get yourself connected to the NetScaler console, you get that updated information on those, both the security CVEs, you'll get information right away on those. They may send down updated signatures that you can use on the web app firewall to block them. It will also update that file integrity checker to make sure, so it will know what the threat actors are doing. We know what to look for even more on those. So if you're directly connected with NetScaler console, you're going to get that update as soon as it comes out. Okay.
Amazing. I just wanted to highlight for all of those attendees who've been able to join us live today, we do have our second edition of our NetScaler book, Basic Setup and Securing of Citrix NetScaler ADC, coming out this summer. And so you'll get a digital copy sent to your inbox when that is available. But for now, I wanted to give a huge thanks to Andrew and Richard for all of the energy and effort and information and knowledge that you've shared with us over the last half an hour, 45 minutes. We really appreciate your time. And we look forward to our next NetScaler webinar, which will be again also in the summer. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
And my final thank you is to our audience. I know schedules are tight and it takes a lot of energy and effort to stop what you're doing and participate in a webinar. So I really appreciate your time with us here today for that. So thank you all and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Thanks a lot. Later, guys.